Okay, we're going live. Stand by.
How come you don't have a little purple in your hair like that, just to scare people?
Rick, we're going live right now, so don't ask me these questions. Just wait 1 second.
Mhm.
And, oh God. Okay, you can just talk to the camera. I'm going to be right with you. Okay, you're talking to a live show. You're supposed to be talking to people. Did you hear me?
Yes, I did now. Yes, hi.
Oh, okay. All right, we're going live right now after a bit of a delay, so just stand by. All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Kerry Cassidy from Projectcamelot, and I'm here with Richard Allen Miller, Dr. Richard Allen Miller. And why don't you tell people how you are a doctor? How does that work?
I'm basically a physicist with tenure in anesthesiology, University of Washington. Then I started collecting other degrees like merit badges, little, just honorary ones here and there, so on. Studied with Roger Penrose, Charlie Muses, Edward Everett Horton. I've had they've dragged out maybe as many as 36 different Nobel Prize winners to train me for this moment. What does that mean? I don't know.
This moment in history?
Yeah, I'm here. Um, how did David Bowie do it, where he took the contact out of his eye to show that he was an alien? I love that movie. Yeah, I have been trained in multiple levels, so I'm not just a physicist. I'm really basically a jack of all trades. What has saved my ego was that there was always someone better than me locally. I remember I went to state in two sports. I broke a world record in one of the two times I went to state and didn't even place. I came in sixth. That's when Charlie Green ran 9.8 and I was doing 10 flat, which is quite a difference. Two tenths of a second on 100-yard dashes. Way down the line.
Okay, so you and I have been talking offline a bit, and I want you to tell people what you think of Three Eye Atlas, but please clarify what your remarks are going to be based on what you're allowed to say versus what you really think.
Well, first off, I'm not sure what it is because it has behaved extremely unusual and never in history has anything done quite what it has. Now, with that qualified, it's only the third thing from outside our solar system to actually go through our solar system. And so, even though it's unusual, there's still a lot more to be known. We get to a certain level of awareness, and then that's that. What is Three Eye Atlas? I don't know. It behaves like it's got some forms of consciousness. It acts. You have to realize, I guess, to qualify. I've actually been to Groom Lake. I've actually met krill. I've been there, done that. And no, I don't know what's going on. I can say this: anything with a face, two arms, and two legs is a carbon-based life form. And I've seen aluminum-based life forms. And right now, I have no idea where we're going. But your projection of what an AI is, and aligning that metaphor that you're using, is pretty accurate, because our kids in high school right now, just using the AI, is dumbing them down to the point where even if nothing happens, we don't even have an earthquake, landmass changes, we're still going to be within 4 generations back to the Stone Age. And I think that I did the first public demonstration of an AI back in 1972 at Claremont. I had a portaphone when I went down. We used a 360 at the University of Washington, and we had synergy and serendipity. And we did that in 1972. And I can tell you that what I'm seeing today, just on the internet, we've got a serious problem with disinformation or people losing skill sets because they're allowing something else to do the thinking, writing, originating for something else. I think that AI probably should be restricted like sex and drugs and rock and roll or alcohol for children. I think there should be an age limit before you're allowed to even start to play with that. And Isaac Asimov absolutely knew there had to be rules of interface with an alien-based life form like silicone. And while they might look better than us, they might give better head. Watch what happens when they decide they start to actually begin thinking, self-organizing.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. It's kind of a jump, but do you know who, oh God, what's his name? Ashton Forbes is?
Who?
A guy named Ashton Forbes.
Okay.
Well, I don't even know exactly who he is, but he's sort of a techie slash scientist. We can bring up his bio if you want, but the point is he's known as the guy who is outing Flight 370, what actually happened,
Oh,
because there were a
yeah.
lot of lies
Okay.
around
Yeah, I
that.
remember him now. Yeah.
Okay, and he took the videos and analyzed them very well. He basically saw that there were, I think it's 2 UFOs, but it might be 3. But there were 2 surrounding, going around in sort of a circular pattern around the plane right before it disappeared. I
So,
believe is
yeah,
the premise of it.
I
And
would,
he
yeah.
does not, in my opinion, he
Yeah.
doesn't seem to know anything about other dimensions. So when you take a plane and you put it in another dimension, it then appears to disappear from your dimension. Okay. So that is what those 2 UFOs might have done, is create a portal and the plane and took the plane into another dimension. Now there's lots of other
Okay,
theories.
I get it. I see where you're wanting to go.
So
Yeah,
what's your
it's a
theory?
portal to you. When you talk about dimensions, like 5 dimensions, string theory has 10. Superstring is an 11th wormhole that interfaces the 10 dimensions and brings them into a unity. And then, of course, the next form of math would be knot theory, where you start tying little knots in the strings, hanging this on. Make sure you have 13 turns so it snaps the neck. Now, are we destroying alternate worlds? I have a friend in New Zealand that is doing. He's kind of like a polymath, like I am, where I'm gifted in that sense of it. I don't hear music. I see it. I have synesthesia, and
Yes.
with math, it's simple for me. I was doing math when I was a little kid, just That doesn't make me better because there's always someone better than me locally. Remember, I always remember that. But I'm a jack of all trades, and I can tell you that our concept of dimensions is different for each of us. And that's one of the things I wanted to talk about is shared an understanding of what shared hallucinations are about, like in Jungian psychotherapy and things of that nature, because consciousness, where we are right now, um, is a dream state. And there are dream states that have more content to reality, like lucid dreaming and consciousness. What does that mean? I'm not sure, but if time isn't real, it's a construct. That's why we moved from quantum mechanics into holographic universes, because we had an uncertainty. The more you knew about one thing, the less you knew about the other. Basically, you couldn't get there from here. It'd be like Simon says, you can go halfway to the door. You get really close. Yeah, I'll say I'm circular. He's young. Look at how young he is. I'm just a grumpy old man at 82. But I
Okay, but
know.
this is his short bio. And so, are you familiar? So look, it's three, actually it's three. So the three UFOs.
Oh, yeah. And then it broke into geometry. And remember, it went by the sun, and the sun literally tried to shoot it. In a sense, it sent a
No,
CNN
I think
right.
you're okay. You're making a jump to Three Eye Atlas. We're talking
Oh,
about Ashton Forbes.
well,
Forbes, do you see this image on the screen? You can
yes.
see the
Uh-huh.
plane, Flight 370, that
Oh,
disappeared
okay.
into another dimension. So we're just talking about dimensions.
Well,
And the bottom line is saying going into another dimension is different for everyone is, sorry, bullshit, because it's like saying being on Earth is different for everyone. Sure, it's different because it's your local, mental state. But the reality is, if I see a river, there's a river. You also see the same river. So hallucination, no, it's actually our practical reality, right?
no, I don't agree, but that's okay. Let's get there.
All right.
Slow steps. Uh, Padawan or grasshopper. Uh, Now, with that said, dimensions mean different things to different people. For example, Homo neanderthalis had 3 rings in the DNA, not 2 like Homo sapien. It was a more evolved species, and that individual could experience 5 dimensions, not 4 like man. Now, where is it? I sense
We have lots of people that have Neanderthal DNA.
Less than 17% African. And that you can check that out. I did my homework. But with that said, it's as if we're asleep right now and we're being mined by our future like gold for our imagination, because it isn't my physics that applies in this state of awareness. It's my imagination that makes something real. Once you see it in your mind's eye, that's what makes it real, not my physics. And with that said, what do they mean when you have tall grades, Nordics, and reptilian, and doop-de-doo-de-doo-de-doo, all these different little green men from Mars? Those are all carbon-based life forms. And
They're
my
not all carbon. There's many silicon and other things. They're made of other things, hydrogen,
well,
plasma beings. There's all that different stuff.
I'm speaking now as a physicist. I didn't mean to be, generally now as a physicist. A carbon-based life form is based on carbon as its primary element, not silicone and not aluminum. Aluminum, I saw that in Prague, and that was the scariest thing I have ever seen. You want to talk about alien? The thing would pop up and going in all different directions as it was expanding and self-replicating. And yeah, I mean, it didn't make any sense any more than I have 5 fingers or 4 fingers and a thumb. Whereas on Mars, they had claws, which were 3. Okay.
Sure.
Now, with that said,
Gray aliens have 3
no,
fingers.
no, our
They
original
do.
Garden of Eden when Mars was where it first started, and then 2 billion years, something happened back there as a metaphor, and the asteroid belt, Mars became a desert. And yet, that planet has more water on it as a smaller entity than Earth does, and most of Earth's water is underground. I don't know if people knew that or not, but it appeared when I took a group of scientists to Mars. We never made it to the surface, but there's no question that planet is probably where your Garden of Eden started, not Earth. Further, the Earth was colonized, and that's when the claws became 4 fingers and a thumb. I don't know, but as a metaphor. And when you talk about aliens in the future, this arm right here, this one, is completely bionic. There's no bone in it. It's shorter. I don't know if you can see it, but it's shorter. It's no elbow, and it's all titanium and nerves. And, it's crazy. It's I can't pick my nose. It's really awful. I can twist it up like this, but I can't do that with this one. But what I'm trying to say is alien in the future will have the ability to make big ears, small nose, colored eyes, like David Bowie, different colored eyes. O negative blood, of course, we got to throw that in a little soup. What I'm trying to say is we're limited in our ability to actually understand what we're basically like sugar ants in Gaia's kitchen. And Gaia needs us like, where do I go with this? The largest life form on Earth is in the Blue Mountains of Oregon. It's a mushroom. And the third largest is another mushroom up in BC. Now, what are those? Brains and gut? I don't know from a metaphorical point of view, but I can tell you that when NASA discovered the geometry, the diamond body, which starts with a vector equilibrium matrix, that'll be in another book I'm writing on the Marshall paper. The genius that worked with Buckminster Fuller came up with a geodesic dome. The vector equilibrium matrix is what that entity was that went through our system, whether it was our future mapping and watching us, what's going on, or it's another kind of life form, or it's just simply an artifact going through the sun. I remember when the sun burst at it and it didn't affect it at all.
Okay, you're talking about Three-Eye Atlas as if it's
they're
past.
all related because they're going to go to the dimensional things that I'm going to talk about, because I think Three-Eye Atlas is a wormhole gate. I think
Okay, and I think that Swan, I wrote this to you, but I don't think you're aware of Swan and Lemon. They're two craft that are actually portals that are accompanying it. And it could much easier jump through one of those portals and out of this dimension and into another dimension if things got too difficult for it here, if it got, bombarded with something it couldn't handle. But the reality is that it is not necessarily a portal. You're saying it's a portal, and I don't even know what you're basing that on.
I know I'm basing it on the diamond body, which is also present on Saturn. And because
that we're all portals.
I'm sorry?
We are all portals.
What does that mean? I'm talking about literally, physically.
You talk about the diamond body, and I'm telling you, as above, so below.
There are 14 Bravas lattices. That's what I did my master's in, solid state physics. And there are 14 basic ways matter bends together and making geometry. 14, they're called Bravas lattices. One of them is the diamond. It's a diamond. Okay, it's a face center cubic hexa. Okay, that's what the diamond body is, of which your early India did with their chakras. They worked with the diamond body, and that there was a geometry part. And if you look, there's 32 places on the body where you leak oil. That's also in the diamond body. And that atlas that went through, when it formed the geometry, and Hoagland et al., Sarita, I like Sarita, by the way. I enjoyed him. I enjoyed working with him. He's smart. They showed the geometry to be a diamond. And I'm guessing That's how I moved 12 NASA scientists to Mars in 1983. I created what we call a wormhole, a Stargate. I sent you models. You can put those up as living movement. You have to do that in your mind's eye in order to create that wormhole. It's very difficult. It took me years training my mind with meditation and so on so that I could create this portal, which is different than astral projection and remote viewing. Astral projection is inside the circle, that's you. Remote viewing is not you. That's where a shaman will place his consciousness in the eye of an eagle and see what the eagle sees. That's
Yes.
different. And
Okay, well, I can do that easily. But the thing is
you
that when
can?
I was with Ashiana Dean and we went to India and we all got in a circle and we created a portal. Literally, we created a portal. Humans can create portals.
Mhm,
A linear accelerator can create portals, and so can CERN.
mhm, mhm. That's how you do it with your mind's eye. And you wake up from it,
You actually do it with Kundalini energy if you really know what you're doing.
well, serpentine. You know what I mean? You're talking ascending or
It's
descending
plasma that we exude. It
dimethyltryptamine.
comes out of our bodies.
Well, yeah, it's N comma N hyphen dimethyltryptamine to be precise. That was Rick Strassman's work after mine at the University of Washington.
It can make you stronger than you ever dreamed. It can also allow you to do things that you didn't know you could do.
You can do that with your mind's eye by
You,
releasing
but
that
it's also real.
neurotransmitter.
It also works on your body. It's real.
Yeah, well, your body, which body is that? The physical one?
Yeah, we have several bodies. Yes,
Yeah.
no doubt. Emotional, mental,
Well, that's one way. There's also
physical.
microtubules on the outside of the skin that we call Che, that when at the moment of death has 5 grams of weight loss. That's structured water that goes back home. Now, that's what we know in that regard. So subtle bodies are present, and we're only just now starting to discover what they are and how maybe to actually repeat and reproduce those. That's physics. You want something that you can repeat and reproduce. And in other words, you have consistency. You know how it works from your mental point of view. You can use it. And the
But it's
thing,
also visible. It is visible in this reality. You
that's
see?
Theosophical Society. Yes. These are nerve ganglia points in terms of the throat chakra, the heart chakra.
It's light energy. It's plasma. It's light energy.
Well, energy is force at a distance. Is a definition of what energy is from a physics point of view. The thing that this is one way of looking at things. There are many different ways of looking at things. This is how we are grouped in our hallucination by, conformity, consensus over individual reality.
Okay. Did you ever read William Gibson,
Oh, yes.
Neuromancer?
Yes.
All right. So
Absolutely.
we're going to have multiple realities going on because the more the AI creates order on the surface, the more you can actually have its opposite under the surface, which is like the dark web and so forth. So that's
Okay,
what
so
he
how
wrote
about
about.
this? The alternate universes is when I did this show yesterday, and I didn't make that error in my daytimer. And today it was a different universe happened because we started at 3 o'clock, not 3:15, etc. There's all these universes, all are happening in what's called the proton cloud. That's where you'll find them. That's the space between when a proton is an electron, it turns into a wave. And that's where all your universes are, including this one right here. And they're all stuck there, and you just happen to be focused on this particular one, but they're all happening. All the different universes of how I affected you and all your listeners today, yesterday, or I didn't write a book.
Okay. So this is your website. And this man has written so many books. How many books have you
I
written?
don't know. I don't know. Lots,
You
lots
don't
of,
even know?
well, I don't keep count.
Well, you haven't. Okay. How many have you published? You know that many?
Well, maybe in the 40s, 40 or 50. My
Okay.
first books were in 1972 with Magical Mushroom Handbook And then I wrote the magical and ritual use of herbs, aphrodisiacs, and oil, magical and ritual use of perfumes, odoriferous molecules. Then I started writing. I mean, I just lots of books. That's 70s. I've got
Okay,
really
so
caught on the phone, with High Times.
you have a book after the Diamond Body, right?
No, the Diamond Body is the last book I had out. I'm
Oh.
coming out now with Pantheon, which is my book on tarot, and my take on tarot is different. It's not about fortune telling. It's identifying all the different storyboards in you. You or I have probably, there are 22 stories in the big city. Persephone having to go to hell each year would be a kid taking drugs once a year because he's depressed at Christmas. And each of us have a bunch of storyboards going on, which makes us unique. And what the Pantheon is about is how to discover the different storyboards. And if you don't like the ending of one of the stories, you change the movie by doing ritual as a celebration of mythology, and you change your archetype that you're working on. I shoot my foot all the time. I'm my own worst enemy in many ways. Why do I do that?
Okay, well, actually, probably to send yourself back into this dimension. So if you start climbing out too far, then you don't think you've learned enough and you want to come back and study some more. So then you do it.
Lots of luck with that one. I already know what I don't want to do, But
okay, so I'm going to also ask.
Through our solar system, behaved like it was picking up gasoline from the sun, like it was stopping for an oil change or something, because it just absorbed it. Now, the only way it can do that with the known physics that we have is either it's got a nickel core or it's got some kind of a plate around it, like you talked about, of a
Dyson sphere.
Yeah, a Dyson sphere is one idea. By the way, a Dyson sphere happens to be a diamond. Newsflash. And if you'll find, it's a diamond structure. And that's why I related it, because that book gets into the metaphysics of where and how the diamond body led me. That was when I moved the Menninger Foundation from Topeka, Kansas to the University of Washington Biofeedback Laboratory, and I added video feedback. And that was the birth of what we call cymatics, or sacred geometry. And sacred geometry has a form of it that intercepts everything of ours. And we don't pay enough attention to it, but there are different constructs of this. Like 3i Atlas is a diamond body. What does that mean? Well, it means it's a portal, because I use the diamond body, electromagic. I was able to, that's a book I'm writing that will come out on the work I did in 79. I bypassed the use of drugs and discovered using more anandamide on my forehead and released specific neurotransmitters, and was able to get any high I wanted just from my own neurotransmitter. And taking both of those, I then created a third book, which is called Yogatronics, and created a wormhole where I was able to go distances. Now, here's the thing that's interesting. I'm finding that wormholes like Saturn, the very fact that Saturn has the same geometry on it, NASA has said our solar system is a life form. And if you don't think they want to know where that wormhole goes, I'm not kidding. And this is 3i Atlas that went through is an independent, self-propelled, closed system wormhole. And that means it's somebody that's carrying around something, might not be human or carbon-based, using that sacred geometry to be able to go anywhere it wants to at any time it wants to. And that would be what I would.
Okay, but I don't know if you watched the many interviews that I did with David Sereda. He shows you a trajectory. It was a trajectory that was already planned. So instead of going around like that, it actually was plodding along a predictable trajectory.
There's something else going on. Correct.
Right.
Right.
So that's premeditated, number one.
Yep.
number two, it's actually was conveying by the choices of its trajectory. Each spot that it went, like planets that it went by, planets that it didn't go by, and all of its choices, it was conveying to us certain messages. And
Oh,
what he was deciphering was the correlations, with our history, especially the religious history, because that interests him in particular.
well, he's
Not me, but him. Okay, so that's what was coming out. But also the messages from the Anunnaki and how they treated us back when they were ruling our planet, in essence, and humanity, which is Enki, Enlil, and Anu. And Anu is the god of the Bible. So when you get into all of that, then you see that Three Eye Atlas is not accidentally in our solar
oh,
system.
there's
It's
something else
here.
going on.
It's come back actually, and I think that it was called in by the Anunnaki who are underground in Israel.
Or to film the last days of this epoch. Or, I mean, there's a lot. Well,
You think there's something, okay, that we're going to talk about that because you
yes,
seem to
but
think,
if dimensionally, that's where we're going.
okay, you think we're going to have some kind of cataclysmic event. I don't know if it's a pole
We have to.
shift or a magnetic pole shift, or how
Yeah,
can you term it? What is it you're saying?
I did a study back in 1974 where I went back every 12,000 years, five times, five epochs back, 12,000, 12,000, 12,000.
Okay.
Nothing survived each epoch in terms of written records. I had to use geology. And the study I did had a 3 sigma error coefficient to it. That means you can count on it.
Well,
90,
that doesn't mean you can count on it in the future. Just because it happened in the
well,
past,
let's
now
say,
we might be part of an evolving system that's going to jump or do something completely remarkable and not have such an event.
well, I think this is the 6th epoch. And we're
Okay,
going to
which
have a
means what?
7th epoch, just like it suggests in the biblical forms. By the way, that's where the diamond body came out of. Sephora, excuse me. That's where it was first described.
The
So,
Nagamati texts, are you trying to say that?
no, I'm talking about Greek and Hebrew, Greek translations. And by the way, the Greek were 11,200 years ago. And so just to make a note on that. And
Okay,
if,
and the Anunnaki were before that, and Atlantis was before that. And are
yes,
you even
where are they and
considering
what's the written
Atlantis in
record?
your model?
Yeah, I was saying, yeah, that might
And
be.
Lemuria,
Hmm?
Lemuria, Atlantis,
Where's the written part?
Egypt. Sorry,
Where's the written tablets, Hermes, that kind of thing? That's 11,200 years ago.
you
Now,
know about the labyrinth in
nothing survived.
Egypt?
It's so thorough that the last time it happened, Alaska was connected to Siberia.
Okay, because it's happened in the past. But I
And
think it would be a mistake to limit the universe or
well,
the
as opposed
multiverse.
to, okay, we originally thought, oh, 2012, and they made a movie on it. It didn't happen.
Right, and they
Then
stopped
they
it.
moved it to
Because it was going to
2026.
be created by man, not by natural, what we call natural things.
Well, what do you think?
They weren't able to
What
carry it off. This is what
do you think is going to
Ashiana says
happen
in her
when the kids?
Voyager series. She says that they were stopped in 2012, in part because of the help of ETs, off-planet races, that
That's
weren't going
our
to allow
future.
them to
That's
mess
our
with
future.
Earth. Sorry?
One of the things Krill said to me was, "quote," and I'm going to try to. It goes like this, sort of. If you were to choose an artifact to remember Earth by, what would it be? And if you chose the correct one, you get to choose a planet, a star of your choice to complete your evolution. There's your reticulum, your tall gray Nordic, and whatever, all that part as a metaphor. Now, I don't know
Yeah, but Earth
what happened.
did not have a cataclysm in 2012. You have to acknowledge
Yeah,
that.
because the error coefficient on that 12,000 years, the wiggle room is 50 to 100 years. We're talking
Okay.
12,000, and the wiggle room 1%, 1/4%, blah, 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 is 10 years. Now, they thought it was going to be 2036. And then when I started hearing this creepy thing about August 12th, which I found out is completely bull, not really, actually, we're going to have a major event occur astrologically, which is just as important as astronomy. It's going to be a very rare
alignment.
eclipse of
Are you
the
talking
Earth.
conjunction, alignment?
No, yeah, the Earth is. We're going to go through a major eclipse of the moon, where the sun, where it blocks the sun for a few minutes, and everything's going to go dim, and you're going to see stars out, and then it'll be back to daylight again. Very rare, hasn't happened in centuries, and that's August 12th.
Okay, so I'm looking it up while we're talking.
Yeah,
And this is the solar eclipse, the total solar eclipse, August 12th, 2026.
Also, and I was ready to do that.
And this is the path that they're saying.
Yeah, I know that I don't know.
Sorry.
But I am, at this point, nothing happens by chance. That's called synchronicity. There's something more going on that I don't quite grok, but I'm close. I probably will never really know, because it works like that. It isn't like that's what you do. You never really have an ending in your dreams anymore, unless it's lucid, which is more content to reality than consciousness even. So with all of that said, I think that 3i Atlas is something from our future, watching or mopping or recording, or what is about to happen. And it was using our sun. Either the sun was hostile and was trying to shoot it, or it was fueling it up.
Well, we know for a fact that many UFOs do use the sun for fuel. That's actually documented.
Well, who knows?
The secret space program knows. Okay. It's not good enough to say who knows. We don't live in a world in which you don't know, because what's happening is it's under the Vatican Library. It's known to secret organizations that keep it away from humanity, of which you are a part, and the military industrial complex, which is also keeping humans dumbed down. So, we're in the business of finding truth here, and we don't want to just slough something off and say, oh, it's something we don't know. It's a lie. It's known, actually. And even AI can give you intelligence like that.
I worked under Schleicher. That was different than von Braun. Schleicher was the physicist from Nazi Germany that he could do the things no one else could. Von Braun did space. Schleicher did, Hellboy or whatever you want to call. I did all the paranormal studies, and I encountered things that I still don't understand how they work. And I know that there's more going on here, my dear Horatio. And I know that I'm probably never.
That's the good thing. That's the good thing. That's the possibility that there won't be a pole shift when you think there will.
Well, yes, I'm pretty sure there's going to be, because look at what's happening just go to my website under the Daily Conspiracy. Look at each day. I have 50 links, usually 40 to 50 links of radio like this that are important each day. And what I've discovered is half of them right now are all about the different volcanoes and other kinds of crap that are going on, indicating we're about to have an event. And on the West Coast,
fair enough.
Okay, on the West Coast, that volcano off of Crescent City that's in the ocean, they haven't even given it a name. When that one goes this time, it went off last week, mildly, but it has this huge magma buildup, because what happens when the pole shifts, what happens is the core of Earth slows down, it stops, and then it starts spinning in the opposite direction. And all the planets have done this now except Mercury and Earth Did it back in February, and the sun has already done it. What does that mean? Well, I don't know, other than when I flew over the Oregon vortex in a PBY in 1974 with an interferometer. What bends light at 15,000 feet? A mini black hole. And I'm going to suggest that rather than it being a magnetic pole shift where the spinning is going in this direction and then it goes in the opposite direction, everything's binary. You have two brains. The sun has a compartment, a double ganger Earth,
Male, female, hello.
male, female. There it is. Read it and weep. But what I'm trying to say is, I think that the ley lines and the Bermuda Triangle are a series of many black holes that are in a sacred geometry that goes into the outer. It switches every 12,000 years, and that's because we're a type of gold. We're dead. We're asleep. Blah blah blah. What do you think death is? Waking up?
We definitely, death is an illusion. Now listen, this is on your report,
Yep.
okay?
Hmm?
So mega quakes, mega drought, mega volcanoes, Stephen Quayle, you know who Steve Quayle is,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
And he's basically worked behind the scenes with the government at times and so on. So he's also predicting a coming catastrophe, so-called thing.
Everybody is it now that I started that with, what was it? Rex, not Rex Bear, the one in Ashland. That's Jeff Rentz. I did Jeff Rentz, started that, and I have a huge follow-up links on that to show that we are about to have an event. Now, when it's going to happen, nobody knows.
Okay, well, I see the future and I've seen lands coming up opposite San Francisco from in the sea.
Time to
Actually, no, really.
relocate, girl. I mean, really. I mean, I'm not kidding. I would be, because if you don't, it's going to be like in the movies where the traffic jam and you get to watch the big wave come.
I
Well,
know.
figure
Okay.
yourself. I'm survival oriented. I got a Winnebago and my go bag, all get to go, and I've got 3 aircraft.
And you think it's August 12th. This is
No,
your this
no, I
no?
no, I have now recanted on that. Now that I
Okay.
understand where August 12th came from, what basically 12th came from originally was disinformation about gravity waves. Now, gravity waves pulse, boom, boom, boom. Okay,
Okay.
and gravity changes minorly, and you need $1 million instruments to be able to even measure the variation in it. It isn't like we're going to start floating in space. You won't even notice a tenth of a gram weight loss, the way gravity is. That was a bunch of disinformation. Welcome to the new world of internet. But
Okay. So what do you think? You think it's not August 12th,
I
even
think
though
it'll
there's
be
this
sometime early
solar
next year, somewhere.
eclipse?
I don't know that. My gut, and that's instinct, and I'm good at
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm sensing March, April, or May of next year.
You said that last year.
I know. I know.
Okay.
It's going to be sooner than later, because everything is.
Okay, well, we're
Yeah.
not at March or April yet, so you don't think it's this March or April?
No, I thought, oh, it's probably August, but then I recanted. Yeah,
Right, I get it.
yeah. It could be any moment. Could be while we're talking right now. Now, here's the other part of it. Because I wasn't there each time it happened, I don't know if it's an immediate 1, 2 hour, 4 hour event, or it's 2 generations.
Well, actually, I thought the ice samples told us that these kinds of changes were radically and fast. They had
Well,
mammoths
radically
that
and fast
froze
is
in a
2 or 3 days,
second, that kind of thing.
2 or 3 years globally.
Sorry, mammoths that are frozen in ice were part of the
Well,
samples.
that's pretty serious. Yes, mammoths frozen
That
in.
suggests, I mean, Timothy Leary did a whole thing on chaos theory, and he basically said change does not happen slowly. You sort of go along, and go for a while, and then all of a sudden it's a spike. And that's how change happens.
That's correct. That's his laws.
So it's a radically fast, sudden change.
But that rapidly fast could be the cold snap in the west and the east right now that's happening. Well, five, four, three. I don't know.
All
I'm
right.
as good as it gets in certain ways, and yet nobody really knows. They can
Okay,
get.
I differ with you. I think that the secret space program knows. I think they keep this information away from humanity because they don't want to panic people and all that kind of
Well,
nonsense.
there's too many
And they
people.
don't want to save people because they don't give a shit about saving
Well,
people.
no, there's too many people. It's easier to
That's an
control.
illusion. That's actually part of a
8
fantasy that's
billion.
called scarcity. That's nonsense. That's old science. You should know that scarcity is a total illusion.
Beginning and having babies. Oh yeah, little brown babies. Oh, that's a different movie. Sorry. Um,
What are you talking about?
begatting and lots of sex and rock and roll. And
Oh,
we
for
oh
God's
yeah,
sake.
drugs. Yeah.
No, I'm just telling you. Have you ever read the Eric Drexler Radical Abundance? Do you know about that book?
I
Okay.
I
Well,
only got that book. I've
he
read.
proves that, and Michael Tellinger started a sort of a community, and they found without any trouble whatsoever, they had more abundance than they knew what to do with. They had to start giving away the food. It was incredible. Humans generate all kinds of creativity, and they basically.
Watch what happens when that high school kid gets hungry because the grid's down. He's going to look at you like a rump roast.
I thought we lived in a shared hallucination. If we do, if indeed you're correct, then we can hallucinate a positive thing as opposed to a negative thing.
Yeah, we can call the 15-minute city just in time.
Suddenly you're a pragmatist, okay?
I'm concerned. I know that I don't know. I I feel a responsibility as a physicist to say it's time for you to start
All
producing
right.
40% of the food you consume. If you can do that, you will have a high likelihood of surviving the events. Food. There's 3 minutes for air, 3 days for water, and 3 weeks for food. The law of threes. And that's the way you look at things. And what's important? Your air, then your water, and then your food. And right now, every single city I know of, except Chattanooga and Vancouver, British Columbia, they're out of food within 3 days. Florida is going to be in a world of hurt if the grid goes down. And the Teamsters and longshoremen stop delivering food just in time delivery because all the big cities right now have only 3 days of food. And what happens when, let's say, the Alaska pipeline is cut off by Canada? And the kids go hungry and their cell phones don't work. What do you think a zombie is?
Okay. But okay, now I'm going to try to go to the chat because I want to see if people want to ask questions, and I'm trying to find it.
I
So
like that too. By the way, Kerry, thank you for putting up with me. Well,
no, I have fun with you because I like to mess you about and
and you do mess me about women with big cats. That's the scary part.
But anyway, is there anyone in the chat wants to ask a big question? Let's see. Let's see. I don't know. So there, someone in the chat is saying, I don't follow Cliff High. Do you follow him? Because someone's saying
Hi.
he's trying to talk about the future. He's a real
Yeah, Cliff is pretty knowledgeable.
catastrophist.
Hold on a minute. I'm going to see who this is. Oh, these are the robocalls. Do you know how many of them I've gotten today alone?
Oh yeah,
Oh, it's really bad.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm trying to, if you have a question, please put it in the chat. Okay, don't bring those people on the show.
Something just came up with Bitdefender. What just? Oh, update. Oh, improvement is being installed. Huh? I didn't even. Sorry. Right in the middle, I'm getting phone calls and software changes. I like.
Yeah, it's probably your handler on, behind the
I
scenes.
like Linux. I hate Microsoft, and especially the 11 sucks.
You hate what?
Microsoft sucks big time, and 11 is the worst one ever. They
I
all,
agree.
yeah. I use Linux. I have a Mint variety, but that I use, and when I turn my computer off, it's off within 6 seconds, not 10 minutes, 14 minutes updates where it takes control of my computer. Now, the
Okay, so I don't know if this is true. I heard today earlier that supposedly Iran is fooling around with ICBMs. Did you hear anything about that?
yeah, yes,
Is it
there, it's fanaticism, and that was the one thing Jesus Christ made a very important. The only person you can judge is yourself, and all our wars have been on judging others, all of them.
sure?
You know,
Although actually aliens have a lot to do with our more to do with our wars and our reality than we realize.
well, that's probably why there's wars going on with them because some of them don't agree with what they're doing to you and me
Right.
as a gold deposit or a silver deposit in Greenland or whatever. Greenland is a very interesting country. I've been up in the territories, Nova Scotia, where I've gone down into caverns. There's a lot of them up there. I mean, that's like Antarctica, but not as quite as interesting. But Trump, Venezuela was like Noriega. We had a war criminal that was affecting our lives on a personal level, and they went in, they got Noriega. It had nothing to do with Nicaragua and trying to take control of the country. Trump, on the other hand, I don't know. I don't know. I don't involve myself with politics because the rules of engagement are completely different in terms of, well, they are. I just would rather be a nerd.
Politics is just how we live in the end of the day. I mean, people have narrowed the actual definition of politics, okay? It's just human interacting with humans and probably aliens in the end of the day.
Well,
But
there's purpose and intent.
and AI and how it affects our lives and so on and so forth. Look, I just came across this thing that was on your so Richard Allen Miller is doing this. Is it a daily sort of digest of
What I
articles
do is
to
at the end of each day, I try to summarize all the different creepy things that happened, like me with you. Well,
Okay, so
I
I
have some
have
friends that
been.
are
Have
doing
you
that
been to
actually.
Go Beckley Tuppy?
Yeah. But see, most of this is disinformation in that I would say 60% of this is AI. And how much of it is true?
I can tell you that there are human skulls of babies all around Göbekli Tepe.
I've been
That
there.
there is a journalist that did some investigation, and there are death cults, satanic death cults that have grown up around that area of
And that was
Göbekli Tepe.
how that when up in Ireland goes right under Europe, all and goes right directly to that place.
Oh
From
yeah,
yeah, there's the cavern. Did you know that?
I believe it a tunnel. You mean?
Yeah, that's a tunnel. Yeah, and it's been there for a long. Who knows what this is all about? The Aztec sacrifices.
Yes, but it's not only them. It's a big deal of the Middle East, actually, sadly.
Yeah, there's
And it's still going on, and we still
yeah.
have huge satanic organizations that are even, it's on the internet. Now the internet has actually facilitated more of this
I
nonsense.
understand. I grew up in the Philippines, and so I wasn't exposed to black and white and absolutes until I came to the United States. Daddy, I love this. Daddy, I hate that. And I would always look at my daughter and say, "Bet I could find something you hate even more." And that was the Eastern schools of 200 Shades of Gray, where you worked with preferences. The yin was in the yang. Now,
Well, that's what I studied.
what's that?
That's what I studied. I didn't study conventional
Yeah, you came
nonsense.
out of Theosophical Society probably, and
I
yeah,
studied that. Crowley and everything. I studied his stuff. I didn't want to be one of those Satanists, but wanted to know the enemy, so I studied that.
Well,
I
here's
looked
the thing.
into Eastern philosophy, yin and yang. That was my schooling. So you're
Anton
saying you
Xander LaVey,
also
for
grew
example,
up
is
in
not a
that kind
Satanist.
of, sorry.
For example, he used actually what we call code and his so-called satanic calls. He was a carny actor and trying to sell books, and he made money. You want to talk about real Satanism? That'd be like Temple of Set.
Yeah,
Okay, there's different
Michael
levels.
Aquino.
Well, I'm not going to mention names because that's not my
He's
purpose.
supposed to be dead. So, in theory, you can mention his name.
Yeah, well, I know that who knows what it is. I can tell you that what's right for one person is not right for another. And what is wrong for a person is not necessarily wrong for another. And that's why we're unique and so-called God's favorite choice. And so I don't make a judgment on others. I make a judgment on myself. And I am trying
No,
to.
I think it's very clear that someone who's killing another human can be judged.
How about a mercy death?
How about what?
A mercy death where they ask you to
I
do it.
didn't say all death. I'm just saying that if
Okay, well,
somebody
I'm
is
trying to give
killing
you an
somebody,
example of,
torturing them, and murdering them, like a child sacrifice, that's clearly Satanism.
and if someone were trying to attack you, I would defend you. And if I had to kill that person to defend you, I would.
Right.
Now,
I
am I right
understand.
or wrong in doing that?
Absolutely.
Well, certain laws in California, I'd be still tried, whereas in Missouri or Mississippi, I wouldn't.
That's because we have a demented Nazi communist,
Well, how does that when
whatever he's
like
called,
sorry,
a governor that's completely
yeah. Oh,
discombobulated and
Arnold
crazy.
Schwarzenegger, I'll be back.
Although the real one might be dead and we might be looking at a clone.
How
So what do you think
about
about clones? Let's talk about clones.
clones?
Clones.
Yeah, not clowns. Honk,
What?
honk, 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 and howdy doody time. And hey, kids, what time is it? Yeah,
Yeah, so what do you
old
think
I am.
about clones? Are you aware of clones?
No, but I'm guessing. I don't know. I don't know about that. I sense there's something else going on, and I might have clones. I don't know. This level of technology that we have, no. But where we go, yeah, probably.
Mm-hmm.
And especially if I didn't finish my purpose, and I'd like to finish it this time, and so I'm going to make a second me to finish what I started as one of the things I like to do, like my unfinished 147 manuscripts. Yeah, exactly. And clones, there are different kinds of cloning,
Okay.
and the experience that you go through changes you. And if that person was nice to me and not nice to my other me, would I be the same person? No, because that's what I wanted to talk about was the shared understanding of illusions. And why I was going to say that, the idea echoes ancient philosophical thought. It was the Greeks that came up with it. The notion that reality is a shared hallucination emphasizes the collaborative aspect of perception. And perception, the doors of perception. It suggests that our understanding of the world is a complex interplay between individual experiences, which make you unique, and then social consensus of the group says you're wrong. And so,
Yeah, but the group is usually wrong.
well, but it's the one that runs law.
Yeah, well, there you see. I mean, that's obvious. What I
I
just said,
like
you
your
just
position
proved it.
on ICE, by the way. I thought that was dead on. No, I thought that was, I agree with you
Thank
completely.
you.
Well, I originally remembered that the doors of the United States were open to anyone that wanted to come here. What happened?
Right.
We decided they can't speak Spanish, because I remember when it was Esperanto. I spoke Tagalog, which is quite different, yet it's a form of Spanish. That was my first language.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yeah. And then Mandarin one, and then Palau. Yeah, before I even spoke or read English.
I can speak some Spanish
Spanish? Are you talking about?
and Russian and what else?
Well, I speak Chinook, and I can go into the coastal
You
tribe.
do?
Yeah, I
What
do.
is Chinook? What
Chinook is
is that?
uh,
Alaskan?
no, it's a um, abbreviation of all the 36 Indian nations that are up in Salmon Arm. Chinook is Chitok is um, so that I could talk to a macaw, or I could talk to a Stilet or a Grand Ron. You know, these are different Indian tribes.
Okay.
And they all on the coast had a common dialogue that interfaced with their unique languages. And medicine, Indian medicine, is the songs and dances, the history of the tribe that made them unique, like the macaw different than the Quileute or the Puyallups or whatever. And I remember the idea of potlatch, where you had to run the gauntlet to become part of the tribe. And I didn't run it, I walked it. Because of my martial art, I let each guy take his best shot at me. Only one guy got me pretty good. But otherwise, they call me the ghost who walks, because I watched the blow go by. I just dropped myself into one of the states I taught SEALs, is how to change your perception of time. I'm doing it right now with breath control, where everything slows down, and you can now, in this state, take your martial art into a paranormal level. And altered states are tools in the toolbox, not for escape or recreation, but where the laws of physics are different, where you can do things in these states you can't do in consciousness. And that's why just giving the SEAL program 8 altered states turned him into Superman. Can you imagine what man could become if he had access to 200 altered states? ESP, thinking with the gut. There's an altered state, not where I am, but right up here. I can go to that place with self-hypnosis, and my ability in guessing is 400 times where I am right now.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, so what you're doing is trying to take advantage. How many altered states do you think in our talking together that you were in and I was in?
Well, remember when we went in that elevator when I first met you and you think that something happened, like a time travel thing? Do
It
you
was
remember?
really weird. That's because you're a witch. And
Yeah. Okay, you shouldn't say that out loud, but actually, I'm a good witch, so don't worry,
you're a
everyone.
good witch.
But I don't use conventional methods. I can actually disappear. So I've had people tell me that I was in a room and that they couldn't see me, and then suddenly they saw me. And I've actually gotten to rock concerts
I'm scared of
by
it because you like
actually
cats.
actually, just walking by them. When they wanted to charge me money, I just walked by them, but they didn't see me. So then I got him free.
That's called walking the shadow. And there's all different forms of being in altered states. It, if truth be known, I have tried to count them. I've probably been in about 12 different states since we started this interview. Different levels. We're just slightly,
Yes.
slightly. All of those are uniquely different. And that was John Curtis Gowan at Northridge when he did an ontology of these different mystical states. And sex magic it's emotions that puncture psyche into matter. And if you can understand that, mine is IQ. I have real high IQ, but my IQ is adaptability. It's not intelligence like a woman's EQ. There's a distinctly difference of that. And
Right.
I'm interested in knowing more about that. because I think that's where man needs to go next, is developing more of that emotional grasp of things. You know, just 20 minutes of dialogue with Krill, it was like a lifetime of words.
Okay.
Oh, it's just
Just think
unbelievable.
if you actually talk to all kinds of aliens. I wake up in the morning and I've had aliens visit me at night, all night long, talking to me. I had an Andromedan, a little old man, and I also had a plant dolphin kind of being who sang
Really?
to me all night.
Huh. I used to hang out at Dolphins Plus. You know, the thing that is
You
interesting.
know how to you translated the dolphin language, didn't you?
Yeah, well, I helped Lily do some work in that area. But what I did is I watched orca chase dolphin its food chain at Friday Harbor. And less than 20 years later, orca is now using dolphin like dogs, like we do dogs in terms of hunting their prey,
I
rather than,
believe it. I believe it.
well, no, there's more going on. And did you know
Yes.
orca has a cerebral cortex literally twice the size of yours or mine, and that mammal is firing 60%, not 10.
Actually, they are aliens. They're supposed to be aliens, those ones.
Well,
Orca,
you
whales,
know,
and dolphins. They're other species. We call them aliens for lack of a better terminology, but
well,
they
different
come
kind
from
of like,
another planet. They came here.
well, they're extremely intelligent. I can tell you, when I used to go to Dolphins Plus, I had not been there, let's say, for 10 years. And I walked in, and Cosmo was still there. And when it saw me, it just completely ignored its handler and went, it came over at me, dancing across, so, and knew to haul me in the water when they had earlier. He towed me differently on his fin than the
Wow.
other normal dolphins did, because my left arm was different, and the handler didn't know that, and started trying to tell Cosmo to stop pulling me that way, to do it differently. And he just ignored him because the dolphin was smarter than the handler in terms of knowing my arm was artificial and needed to be attached differently. How did
Oh,
he do
wow.
that? With sonar. You can see
That's
it.
cool.
Yeah. I've got so much titanium in my body right now that when I go through an airport, it's really creepy. He is a bomb.
Okay, well, you know that those what are they called? TSA scanners,
Yeah.
whatever in the airports. So I've shut them down before. And another thing is they show your implants. So if you've been abducted and you have implants, whether it's by the military or by aliens, either way, I have a friend who they showed his back. They weren't supposed to show him on the screen what they see, but he saw it and he had implants all over his back.
Huh.
You know who that was? Neil.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he's not human. He's not fully
I,
human.
I, I like Neil anyway.
He's that's why he's such a good drummer because he has this sense of rhythm that's impeccable, right? He's
He's good
absolutely
musician
doesn't miss a
also,
beat.
by the way.
Like that's that kind of thing. That's a friend of mine. I've swam with dolphins, and when I went to go to the shore to climb out and be a human, I forgot that I had legs. And I looked at the shore and I thought, I don't know what to do. What do I do? And then it came back to me that I was human because I had gotten so much into the dolphin mental state. So I can do
I
that.
saw that movie. It was called Blonde and Blonder.
No.
I'm just kidding you. I have fun.
So we can actually, you can move your mind into other,
That is
like you
correct.
said,
You can
into
do a
the
lot
eye
of
of the
things.
eagle and then see what the eagle sees.
In fact, you can do anything you could possibly imagine. It's possibly true. It's not only true, it's even more than that. And so that's why you have to be responsible for the thoughts you choose to entertain, because what you're doing is creating your own universe of horrors.
Mhm. Hopefully good things.
Well, hope was the last evil in Pandora's box. Mine has to do with persistence
Oh,
over
God.
unrewarded genius. A
Okay, now, we're going to close this down, but anybody have a real question? Let's see.
real question?
Yeah, they want to know, someone wants to know, can you speak dolphin?
Um, no, I don't know that language. There's somebody that has stated that he has broken that language. I don't know whale language is. Did you know what they're doing is those the whale calls? They're songs. What they're doing is medicine. That's what
Yes.
makes it, they're singing their history. And when you think of it like that and realize that when they have tuna and they have all these millions of fish in there, they're moving into the bank and going down for a banquet. Um, it's an interesting life in the ocean. There's a whole nother universe that we haven't even begun to understand yet. And life forms with it. Way, way down, octopus, have tentacles and they can do things with those tentacles that will surprise you. Fish, certain fish have senses. How many senses do you think man has? Right now, the count is 30. They've got the 30 plus senses they've identified in humans, including odoriferous molecules where you can smell them. You have
Yes.
two places on the body where you leak oils, fats, and waxes. Your ears on down to your crotch. And all of these are forms of communication, just like body language.
Yes. Absolutely. Someone in the chat is asking about Greenland. Do you want to talk about Greenland?
A little bit. I don't know much about it. Um, there is supposed to, as you pointed out, an artifact that's been there since before the flood. Now, what it is, the pictures that I've seen look like it's a UFO. It's a
Sure.
disc,
Mhm.
similar to the one they had in Roswell, but different. But, you know, a disc rather than a tube or a blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Um, I know that Greenland has multiple interconnective caverns going down, like Antarctica did. Antarctica was unique in that the one cavern I was in, the primary cavern, is over a mile high. Mile high.
Yes.
And the light in there seems like it's daylight. That was the job I did. I discovered bioluminescence on the walls, which was a type of lichen that was growing on the walls, and it would luminesce light to the point where it looked like it was visible. And when I say a mile high, I mean a mile high.
I understand.
It's
Are you aware of ant beings?
of
Ant beings.
I'm not sure what you mean by that. I know about the Ant-Man in Mexico, which was a life form or hive consciousness that was.
They draw a lot of the Native Americans seem to be very aware of the ant beings. They draw a lot of them on the walls.
Yeah, that's. I taught at Shiprock for a while, working with the Navajo, and those legends. The Navajo originally started in Sedona in those cave dwellings. Before they were the Navajo, they lived in the cave dwellings. And what happened is one winter, apparently, it was so cold the tribe nearly died trying to use creosote to burn and keep their homes. And that's when they moved north up into the forest. They became the second ring. Now,
They became the what?
second ring. There are three rings. There's the Hopi, the Navajo, and the Zuni. I guess it's Zuni. There's three rings.
Zuni.
These are the original tribes that were down south. Now, there's other ones that were up north. I worked
Right.
with Northern Cheyenne, for example,
Mhm.
that used peyote as a way to get sovereignty of their land. It was not a sacrament. It was a political weapon. Because I was roadman with them once I started studying shamanism and so on. Indians have a different way of being that have aspects to them that are worthy of study in terms of survival. You know, the wildcrafting and foraging. What I did, for example, as a metaphor, is I took 150 truckloads of ponderosa pine cone out of Lapine and Sisters, which were fire hazard. I sold it to the East Coast as kindling. What color would you like your fire starter, Mom? Because what I had in abundance and too much of and a problem was a need there. And what I'm trying to do is set up demonstration farms in 6 habitats. That's another book I'm writing where they can be cloned for producing locally your own food. I think someone might have been knocking on my door. I don't know. I'll get there in a minute. And what I'm doing is bringing children in because they need to learn how to farm, not garden.
Yeah, you're a very good teacher. And you're a
I don't know about
wonderful
that, but
herbologist, right? You're a herbologist.
well,
And we
yeah,
made that video a long time ago, remember, when I first
yes,
met
we've
you?
done a lot of things like that. Yeah. No, no, we've done it.
No, we did. We did more than one. And yeah, so people should go on my website and you just put put his last name in or his first name, and you'll eventually find all the different videos I've done. I've done so many interviews with Richard Allen Miller
We
and
really, really
really over the years, many,
yeah,
many interviews.
from 20, what is it, 2010, 2012, somewhere in there was when we started,
Okay.
maybe even earlier. I have an
I
old video
I
I'll show
think,
you about
yeah, I think it
Indians
would be
when they
around that
interviewed me.
time.
What's that?
Um, no, it would be, it wouldn't, it would be after 2009, not before.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
2009. Yeah, I think that's
yeah,
when.
because we had a sort of
Yep, yep.
that's when I split from Bill Ryan. That was the end of the split, though. The beginning of the split was much earlier than that. So I
Yep.
remember, but we actually, and I went to Russia and interviewed Boriska, the boy from Mars. Did you ever know about Boriska?
Yep.
You did?
Yeah.
You know about
No,
everything, right?
no, I don't know everything. I know a little bit about.
I like just to bring up topics when you're not thinking about them to see if you have a reaction.
Yeah, yeah, I knew. And my partners right now are Max Rampel and another Russian. Maybe on DNA we've written, and we can absolutely prove we were manufactured.
Yes.
Absolutely prove it.
Yeah,
Manufactured
we're
with
designed.
intent.
Designed is a better word.
Yeah, that's part of the DNA studies. You can find that
Yeah.
on ResearchGate and or academia.edu. And
Let's see, John Scott, what's his last? Perez, that I've interviewed him several times. I think you should talk to him because he loves that and he's done all the studies of that and knows all that.
what they're
And
using,
plants, you said mushrooms are the biggest life
the
form, but
second is the
actually
telluride,
all the plants are connected underground by their root system.
but the mycelium is a resonant cavity oscillator. It's different, like the brain has
Okay.
neurons and dendrites and things like that. That's metaphorically the second largest life form, by the way, is an aspen grove down in Telluride. And when
I
you
love
find,
aspen. They're beautiful.
well, yeah, but there's more going on than chemistry. When you find dimethyltryptamine in crabgrass, that's a delivery system from God. That's something else going on than just physical chemistry. And why I got into herbal pharmacy is that pharmacy is a Nazi based thing on standardized extract and target chemistry. And what I did is I was a raw material supplier and discovered that when you made acetylsalicylic acid out of aspen leaf and aspen bark, you also, in aspen leaf and aspen bark, had natural buffers that were unrelated and yet corresponding. And so, from an herbal pharmacy point of view, we started with medicinal, which is alleged chemistry. Then we had pharmaceutical, which was known chemistry. And then we have new stuff coming out now with on nano, creating colloidal silver, in certain kinds of trees, that on a nanomate scale. That one of the last thing I wanted to share is I have developed a new delivery system for the pharmacy where if you took this mushroom I was marketing and pharmaceutical mushroom is about oxygen. You have sugars, you have beta glucans that are structurally different like this, and then you have polysaccharides, which are like 100 oxygen molecules. It's a sugar. Now, if you run that through a jet engine at Mach 2, like they do chicken manure, it knocks it down to 400 nanometer. That means it's like asteroid going through the solar system. And instead of having to take an antibiotic, like you have an abscess tooth, you take an antibiotic and it goes down here, and then you get 28% of the chemistry, and it starts murdering everything on the way up. In nanometer, you take one small piece of the mushroom, you place it on your tooth, and your abscess is gone in 4 hours.
Yeah.
That oxygen goes right straight to ATP.
Well, do you follow your own instructions?
My teeth are broken because of dentistry, not because
Well, why did you fall for that?
Because I didn't know any better in the early years, and why I came up with herbal pharmacy, and now I don't do.
Teeth grow back. You can grow them back. You know that.
Well, that's a brand new technology out of Japan, and it's not available to the public yet.
No, it's also part of the human body if you can tap into it.
The thing that, I'd like to be more like Monty Python. Come back, I can still bite. Well, I have to drink everything now. It's terrible.
Yeah, but you don't have to fall for that stuff. You could actually
but I need a little more cheese.
You can reverse age yourself. Do you know that?
Yeah. Well, do I look like I'm 82?
No.
So yeah, I feel good. Elixir Vitae, what Andy Warhol called, where are my weirgens when I need them?
Your what?
Weirgin.
Oh.
Version. Sex magic. That's how you stay young.
Okay, so
just kidding.
On that note, I don't see any new big questions in the chat at the moment. Let's see, is there?
Don't want to mess with the fun.
Very end. Sorry. Okay, so yeah, so I don't see any last minute questions.
They are.
All right.
I get a lot of them from these things where people will write to me and ask me.
I bet. Yeah.
And it's interesting. Some of them are really smart. Well, no, I mean,
imagine that. Smart humans. Isn't that nice? So maybe our future isn't determined, right?
Well, actually left and actually
maybe we're going to create a whole different future. Yeah. Maybe that's what we're working on right now.
Oh, what am I working on right now? 12 books on mushrooms. I have a business plan for matsutake. That mushroom is a $1.4 billion single market, and you can only find it when it starts to fruit, because it fruited here, but it doesn't do it. Sell traffic. But I discovered how to identify it off season using Landsat NOAA infrared. And once the stand is identified, if you farm it, you can produce 11 times. And at 1.4 billion, the United States right now only has a 4% market share, and we should have around 12. So if there's people out there that are interested, this is where you go into Arctic Alaska and you end up down in Peru at the end of the year farming this thing.
Matsutake, is that what you're calling it?
Yeah, the big pine mushroom. Yeah, big one. It's that they use it in everything in Japan. My primary exporter was Top Slicer, who's a Korean out of Vancouver, BC. I used to have buying stations, and I'd pick up all my stuff each month up there and have a bunch of maybe 4,000 or 6,000 pounds of morels, and then chanterelles, and then matsutake, and other things like that. Yeah.
Okay, so we could be here all night, but we're going to close this down now. I want to thank you for coming on my show as usual, Richard Allen Miller. And is there any parting words you'd like to say to my audience?
I am a starving artist. Please feel free to buy my books, because I'm trying to make them inexpensive, especially in Europe, because I'm not using Amazon. which is now publishing a bunch of my stuff without permission.
Right.
All right. And what I'm doing is I've got 147 further manuscripts. And if there's some people out there that would like to involve themselves in proofreading and other kinds of things like that, artwork, feel free to contact me. I like putting a team back together again. Distribution, like B. Dalton Walden books, that kind of thing.
That's great. All right, people. So his website is richardallenmiller.com. And I'm just going to put his website on the screen
By
one
the
more
way, do you
time.
like the look of my new one? My new website?
Yeah, it looks nice. It's
Yeah,
very
that's my
advanced.
yeah, that's free. That come free. You can get that free. I'm downloading that. I have 360 PDFs on that technical crop report. And comfrey, 60% comfrey, 40% alfalfa cube. It's a whole food for a cow that's being grown in a feedlot. It's a 60-story building in Japan.
What are you saying? They live on this stuff or something?
Their feedlots in Osaka are 60-story buildings.
Okay. Is it good for them?
And the cattle are rampant with disease when they're using just alfalfa cubes and pellets. They're not getting the lanchoin and lysine amino acids that you find in comfrey. And so what I did is I formed a 60% comfrey, 40% alfalfa. It's a whole food for the cow. And now they're thriving in the feedlots. That would be something I'd feed my animals if I were.
Well, then why didn't they pay you for saving all those cattle?
They bought truckloads of my product.
You got what?
400 ton first year. Sold 400 ton. And growing.
Okay, but did you make money off it?
Yeah, but how did Robert Plant put that? I'm addicted to love. I wonder where all the money went.
He's so crazy. All right. So thank you for being here. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll have him back on and we'll drill down and give him a lot of shit. So think of good questions to ask him because it's much more fun when we do that. All right. Take care. Rick, have a nice night.
Yes, ma'am.
Enjoy yourself. All right.
I'm just going to sit back and feel sorry for myself. I need a little more cheese, though, with my wine.
All right. Take care.
Yes,
Bye-bye.